You might be surprised, but the Mouse is still the highest win rate tier 10 in World of Tanks Blitz. This is a super heavy, which features a lot of hit points, 3,221, with improved assembly and double sandbags. The tank also features pretty solid DPM, even with calibrated shells around 2,500, which is more than enough to deal with the majority of heavies in front of you. And it's got pretty good standard pen at 270. Its premium, I will say, needs more pen. It's only 327. Should be more like 336. I think that would be enough to cut through the majority of armor, but it's not awful pen because you are quite tall. You look down on a lot of armor, making opponents not necessarily as hard to deal with. Now, we actually got a pretty good map for the Mouse. I would say a really bad map for this tank is something like Dynasty's Pearl is really good, but, you know, like Castilla, oof, Castilla is freaking awful. I mean, it's not just Castilla, though. Really, any map that is quite open, Lagoon, Canal can be quite bad. Any map where mediums are able to use their mobility and catch you off guard, that's where a tank like the Mouse is really going to struggle. Where it's going to do great is on a map like this, where we are able to use the small map to our advantage because we don't really have much mobility. But on Dynasty, we can get across the whole map in, what, 40 seconds? I mean, that's pretty quick. So what do we have up against us? Well, a bunch of heavies all on the medium flank, which kind of sucks because we have to get over there. But it's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to try and flank them, though. We're just going to cut through mid, and we'll see how that works out. The enemy team's already getting bled out quite a bit. Our BZ-75 and WZ have taken off 1,200 hit points from their team, and we haven't lost anything yet on ours. So that's a pretty good start. We have the 62A, we have the E5, ooh, we have the 183 and the 5A as well. Let's get a nice shot into the 5A, and we're going to back up. I'm not allowing that 183 to see me. However, our WZ crosses right in the open and does allow the 183 to shoot him. Okay, well, we shoot at the enemy cron there. Unfortunately, the shell doesn't hit. We also have the 62A aiming in on us, but obviously does not connect the shell. And bonk. Oh, that made no sense, but alright. Well, let's push in. We're in a Mouse. The whole point of this tank is to use our hit points and, well, take shots for the team. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We have the enemy 183. We're going to take a quick snap, and we're going to angle our turret. He shoots a high explosive, which does literally nothing, 400 damage. I mean, that's a pretty awful high explosive, if you ask me. We have the E5 off in the open, and bonk. There you go. Nice 472 shot, and we back up. So right now, I am definitely the holding tank for our team, and that can either be really good or really bad. I'm just going to back up. We're going to get a nice 410 snap into the enemy tank, and we're going to angle up and back up so the 183 can't see me. We have a BZ-75 who is going to hold, and I'm going to help out this BZ-75 so that we can hopefully take advantage of what's going on here. He gets the shell out. We get the shell out. Just like that, this 907 is not enjoying life. Again, this is a great example of why the Mouse is such a hard tank to deal with. Because of the amount of hit points and armor that it features, it's basically unstoppable when you have this level of hit points. So the rest of the enemy team probably going to run away, and we'll see what we can do. Sorry, BZ, I don't mean to slap you like that. You mess up your HE, but that's all right, as I get the clearing shell anyway. Well, the 62A is over here, and really doesn't matter where the 62A is. We can see that my reload is fairly quick on this tank. We get a nice 474 shot. He bounces the shell, and now we are going to push to the enemy T110E5. The E4 gets a shell out, and we're going to get a shell out ourselves, clearing him. And there you go, that's a win. So, yeah, Dynasties is obviously a great map for a tank like the Mouse. And the reason this tank does so well is, as I said, it's just got so much hit points. People don't really know how to counter a tank that has 2,500 DPM, a decent chunk of alpha at 460, and the level of hit points it has. Like, the armor, it's okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Mouse's armor is the best in tier 10, because it really does struggle, especially now that Heat Pen is even better. It means that mediums are going to cut through your turret cheeks quite easily. Heavies aren't going to struggle at all. In fact, a lot of heavies can cut through your upper plate. And if you're running calibrated shells on tank destroyers, there's really no world where you're going to get a bounce in the Mouse. But the thing is that I can take a shell from a vehicle, let's say like a 60 TP, and it's going to load heat. So the 60 goes from 630 alpha to like 550, 560. And I have 460 alpha, and I'm going to pen him back. And I have more DPM than the 60 TP. So the 60 is a losing DPM to load gold. I am most likely going to be firing standard ammo back at him, either at his upper plate. But in general, that's where the mouse really, really just wins, is when you're fighting tanks that have less health than you, but you have more DPM, and then they're loading gold, which lowers their DPM even more, and then they might bounce a shot. And if they do, you can start to see the advantage. You just have so much HP, and that HP allows you to beat people around you. The downside is that you're slow, and you're big. And those are two big downsides. If you get caught out in the open in this tank, or people have the opportunity to farm you, your team falls apart because you're not fast enough to get into the battle. Those are all things you're going to have to worry about. Like this map, for example, I'm not able to do anything wide. We also have what it appears to be a AFK Skoda T50 who's just spinning in circles, so that's great. Well, it looks like he figured out where the W key is. Alright, well, we're going to keep on going up here. We're only going about 10 kilometers per hour, but we are slowly making our way up the hill. Now, we're going to wait for the enemy team to get spotted before we really make any plays, but we can see a bunch of tanks detected at this point. We got the WZ-121, we have the Yo. So with that in mind, we are going to head wide over here, and we're going to try and get behind the enemy WZ. We're going to try and get behind the enemy Yo. We are spotted, but it's not that big of a deal, because we're just going to chill over here, and we'll see. But for now, I'm just going to wait. We have the 4005 on the side as well. Oh, there you go. 121 gets shot by the 4005. We're going to move up a little bit. Oh, we have the enemy 113 on our side. All right, well, there you go. We got a nice 508 into the enemy 113. And this is where having that level of hit points is obviously a huge benefit, because a tank like the 113 really doesn't have much opportunity to fight me. So we get a nice shell into his tank, and we start backing up. The 121's over here, shoots me the heat shell, obviously doesn't do anything. Look how many tanks we are distracting on the enemy team. The 113, the T30, they have so many tanks on me. And not only that, but this 4005 is going to clear that player. Look at that. There's a 752 in the back. The 121 might shoot at me again. I don't really care. We're getting bounces for days. And not only that, but we're doing more than fine in the current situation we're in. The 121, if he pokes that, he's... Well, never mind. The ST1 is stupid and wasn't even looking at his opponent. Alright, well, I'm going to focus on pushing this way now. We have the T30 on the side, and I'm just going to push up, and we're going to see if I can get a shell into the T30. Hello. There you go. Nice shot. Shoots me back, but look, we still have way more hit points than his vehicle. And again, that's where this tank just wins, is in the hit point department. Now we can push up over here. We can start aiming it on the side of the Yo. There you go. Low roll, but I'll take 390. It's still a decent chunk off of his tank. We have an E100 left, which is obviously pretty good. The Yo gets absolutely bonked as well. Alright, well, we're going to move up here again. We're going to angle the tank out, and T30 bounces me. We get a nice 520 damage shell back into his tank. So just like that, the enemy team is not really enjoying us. And now we're going to start pushing up, and we're just going to push the T30. And what's he going to do? That's my question, because we have so much more health than his tank. And there you go. 469 damage shot. We have the 121 on us. T30 bounces. There you go. We're going to aim it on the 121 and pretend we have a shot. He doesn't want to poke me anymore. We're going to angle it out. He does pen me, but again, I don't really care. We're just going to ignore the 121. We're going to ignore the Yo. We're going to ignore all these players. I'm going to push over here on the T30, and he's dead. We baited him out into the Skoda T50. So with that in mind, now we have the WZ on our flank, and the WZ is a big threat, but we're just going to chill here. We're going to aim it on his tank. There you go. He bounces. There you go, 325. Now, we are going to lose this, but really, it's not the mouse's fault. We are going to lose this game. Let's be honest here. The mouse did more than a fine job in this situation. We're going to clear the Yo. We're going to angle against the 121. He does cut through us, but not really, again, something that I'm able to do anything about. Alright, well, let's see. Yeah, he pens me again. Unfortunate. Let's just back up like so, and bonk. There you go, 449. We did pretty good. I mean, how much damage did we end up dealing? Yeah, 4,200. And we also distracted a crap ton. It's really sad that our team actually managed to lose this game for how much we were able to deal and how much we were able to hold. But it still shows why the mouse is quite a good tank. I mean, look at that. 4,150 blocked. 4,200 Dell. The enemy 121 was a pretty good player. And I mean that in the sense he knew where to shoot us. Because that he got a lot of damage and was able to farm us out. But we shouldn't have lost this game. We had an ST1 who was completely oblivious. We had an E100 who was oblivious. It's unfortunate when you have teammates that throw the medium flank, because we had a huge advantage on the medium flank, and we could have easily won, but as you can see, the mediums just didn't know what they were doing, and we ended up losing the battle. But in general, the Maus, I really like it. I think it's a fun tank to mess around with. And I think even after the changes, you can do very well in it. You can see I've got an 80% win rate with 30 games played after the heat changes, because I haven't really played it much. So I played a couple games today and messed around with it, and it did surprisingly well solo. So yeah, I think the Maus is actually a rather underrated tank. I think it's still very good, and if you know what you're doing, you can get very good results out. It is a little disappointing that Wargaming has taken away some of its capabilities, but they're planning a massive rebalance in the future, so we'll have to see what they do. Either way, hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!